We are gathered here to honor the children who attended residential schools. We are gathered here today to honor the children of the children. We are gathered here to honor our kin. We are gathered. We have the privilege of being gathered. We are here. So many are not. Represented by a sea of orange dots, we are taking a brief break from the colonizers' plot. We are gathered in offices and jail cells. We are gathered around the undrinkable wells. We are gathered in molding homes, but at least we are no longer alone. We are gathered. We are gathered on the Indian agent's list. We scatter to avoid the Indian agent's fists. Child Protective Services has the gall to swap the agent for a social worker's house call. There is no time to beg or react because they gathered our spirits in the Indian Act. We've moved on from the res pass. We now travel hundreds of kilometers just to attend class. We are gathered in the headlines. Going missing when brown is the crime. We collect traditional territory trespassing fines because we are tending to ancient trap lines, and still we gather. We gather in front of police. We gather on our knees. We gather in horror through our phone screens. Our rights turn into Instagram memes. We remember our legacy. We remember that too of the RCMPs. We remember how they settled the prairies. In spite of that, we still gather to pick berries. We gather at funerals and wakes. We gather at our solidays. We gather in unmarked graves because we didn't behave, or because we were brave, or is it because we refused to be saved? It doesn't matter. We still have the audacity to gather. We gathered when it was illegal. We gather around the drum and under the steeple. We are gathered to honor the survivors past. We ignore the present with flags at half-mast. We gather thousands of tiny shoes to show we are still human. You step past them to gather for communion. We gather in parliamentary halls. We pick a date to honor them all, a day off work to gather in shopping malls. We gather and seal the records. It was a different time, we're told. They didn't know better. We call for action in endless open letters. We refuse to prosecute the perpetrators. I gather in a pandemic with others on a plane to see my father through his pain, to convince him this institution is not the same. Struggle to connect through trauma's cage. We watch this through Microsoft Teams. Her criticisms make you seethe. This isn't uplifting poetry, rather words gathered in a plea. We are gathered to stare unblinking at our history. We are gathered in humility. We are gathered in collective culpability. We are gathered because of a duty. Today we are gathered because every child matters.